Hello YouTube, RJ. Hey, we got our circuit boards in for the antenna tuner for the little easy shortwave receiver. And they look good. You know, PCB Way always comes through for me. I'm not sponsoring. I have no sponsors at all. But anyway, I still want to point out that they do a good job for me, even though they're not a sponsor. One of the things I had to change was I had talked about trying to make the switch around the inside center of the switch, where the switch would come out one side of the board and the Torroid would be on the other, just like when we built the antenna tuner that this is modeled off of. If you look, you can see that it would not line up. These pins were going to be right in the way, so that didn't work out for me. I had to separate the two, but I'm curious to see how this works out. It's going to take a little more space than I wanted to. You can't always get exactly what you want, so this is the best compromise I could come up with, and I'm very curious to see how easy it is to wire up this toroid with the way that I'm going. So anyway, we got that in, but we got a bunch of parts in there. Hopefully some of the parts for this. If they are, we'll try building this thing. We'll see how easy it is or hard, or does it work at all. Let's open up a couple partials from AliExpress and see what we got. I got one from DigiKey. These are the switches for that. The rotary 12 position switch for these. So we're going to use one of them if we've got the rest of our stuff here. We're going to use one of these right off the bat. So. Okay, now, next big question. Cross our fingers. Does it fit the board? Did RJ screw up, or did he get it right? Looks like it fits. Now, what do we got here? We're going to need one of those. And it looks like it's the right size. And then, what do we got here? Oh, okay. These are, what these are, they literally are machined to fit on here. And then the screw goes on. That's if I can get my fingers on that little tiny, I got them big fat fingers on them little tiny screws. So this goes on, and then your little screwdriver, tighten her up. Like that. And now we have a regular 1/4 inch shaft for a regular 1/4 inch knob to go on. I know what this is because it's the only thing I ordered through DigiKey, the wire. And why did I order wire? As you know, I have lots of enameled wire, because this enamel wire is PUR. That's the enamel they use on it. The difference with it is you do not need to strip this. This can be soldered directly to. And we're going to try that. Let me get the soldering iron out. We're going to make sure of that first. Let's see if I can get some solder to actually stick to this thing. Typically what I used to do when I used this before is get a big ball of solder. Of course the wire's sticking out, so it's bouncing around. Let's see if I can do this. Get the iron hot, get you a... And yes, I don't know if you can see this, how well you can see this. I'll bring it up a little close. I know it'll get out of focus, so we'll not care, but can you see how clean that's soldered without me stripping anything? So that's exactly what we want. Let me clean the bench off real quick, come right back, and we'll start building this thing. And we'll see how well I did or what a mess I made. So be right back. Okay, cleaned up the bench, got everything we needed laid out here. Taped up my ruler so I can measure easily when I need to measure. And here's where we're at. You know, for all I know, this may not work. I don't know. This is all kind of experimental at the moment. If you look, I brought out another board so we can see clearly. You see the little white dot right here? That's your first pin. And see the line drawn over to this one, to this pad? That with the 1, that's not pad 1, that's 1 turn. So from here to here, you need 1 turn. So my thought is, we'll try this, is to take and start out by putting my wire through from my spool, and then we'll go through it. Since we're only doing 1, that's going to be a pretty quick job here. We're going to pull this down. I'll go ahead and bend him over a little bit to keep him from pulling back up as I tighten this. We'll tighten this. And then I'm going to try to solder that. Now I know when you solder this stuff from previous experience, you've got to be a little patient because you've got to cook that coating off. So what you're going to do is watch real closely as you're soldering. Put a bunch of solder on and watch. And you'll kind of tell, if you watch closely, you can kind of see when it's bowled off when it actually solders. Okay, like that. So expect to spend just a little more time on there than you're used to. I'll cut him off, bring him up, line him up where he's supposed to be. Remember, this is the first one. We've got nothing holding anything at the moment. So we want to pull this guy out and we want to try to get him soldered. I'm doing this multi-handed. I probably ought to have a board holder, but that wouldn't hold the toroid, so it's going to be a little challenging, I'm going to admit. So we're going to do what we can. Get a couple of these on and then they'll start holding themselves and that'll help us out. So let's see if we can do a little trick here where I get him hot and feed the solder in like this. Yeah. Okay, so we can now cut him. Now we got one holding him. One turn. Now, let's come over here and let's do a different one. I'm learning as I go here because I'm trying to do this where I can show you guys how to do it, but yet I haven't done it yet, so I'm learning at the same time you are. So we look here, let's say we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we go, we want to come through this hole here with our wire. So come through here. We're going for 3 turns because we look right here, the line comes across to here and says 3 turns. And you can see it on this board too. It's going to have 3 turns to that one. So let's pull a little wire through and let's go around. Get my needle nose and pull him up. There's 2. This won't be like falling off a log easy, but it's gonna, I think it's gonna be a lot easier than what I went through with the other. Just at this point. Now, one thing I gotta watch, it looks like. One thing you don't want is to cross your wires. It's a little bit like Ghostbusters, don't cross the streams. Need some more wire. Try to keep it up where we can see, but it's hard for me to do it and keep it where you can see at the same time. One. Looks like I messed up and went on the other side. That's what's wrong. I went. Okay, when you do it, make sure as you're winding your wire, you stay way over to this side so that you don't get around the other wire the wrong direction. So that's rule one, like this, okay? And then the same thing, when you do it the next time, keep it way over here, out of the way. Like that. There we go. That's a lot better. So, see how tight we can get this rascal when I get it soldered in. So we're going to put it in the hole for 3 because we've been through the middle. Remember, it's all about the middle. 1, 2, 3 times through the middle. It's not full wraps around. It's how many times you went through the middle. That throws a lot of players. Okay, so let's get him bent over. Let's see if we can get this tight. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's solder this rascal. And then we'll be held in 2 places. That's going to start helping a lot. See, that didn't solder yet. You got off too soon. But we iron away. There ain't no solder down there. You know you didn't get her. All right, there you go. No, still not happy with it. Give me a little more solder, a little more heat. Does take a little time to burn that coating off, but that's a lot easier than now. I still didn't get that. Let's clean my tip. Let's take the heat up just a little bit more. All right. Now, one question I have is I'm doing this and I'm wondering, how do we know we're getting good connections? Well, the nice part about this is it's not hard to test. We can grab a ohm meter and check it. So let me go ahead and do this. Let me get this one soldered down. I'll grab some probes, hook up to the meter. Pull him a little tight. Yeah, gotta spend a little time on them to get them soldered, get that coating cut off. Works. Okay, now the question becomes, is this actually working? So let me grab a set of probes, hook them up to the O1, and we'll check continuity on it. Be right back. All right, we're set up on continuity. The question becomes, we're good there. Good there. Actually, just test it down to here. Okay. Yeah, we're making it all the way through that. Are we making it all the way through? We are. So yes, that's working. You just have to spend a little extra time getting it hot. So we've got a multi-turn here helping hold us. Let's try to get something over here multi-turn, and then we should be able to pull that solder out and move forward. Okay, that one's done. And I think with that, we probably can take the solder out now. So now we get our spacer out. There's one. There's the other one. All right. Now, if you want to be real cautious, we can go ahead and check this for continuity, make sure. We're good. Okay, and that's the way you're going to do it. It's going to hopefully get easier as we go. We get a little more experience with it. Keep moving along. Okay, now that we got a couple to hold them, I think we could just start going around the whole board. I'm just going to keep on doing this. I'll probably time lapse this so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but to clean up the bench a little here. Got a lot of shaving, little pieces of wire and everything, but there it is. I'll have to look and see, and I'll post up here how long it took me, but I think it was about 40 minutes or 45 minutes, something like that. Probably half the time it took to do it on the other one. And that doesn't include me having to redo it to fix it because I screwed up. It was so easy to screw up the other method. I think this is makes it little bit easier not to screw up. I think it makes a nicer mounting. I think it's going to work. So let me clean this up and we'll get the switch mounted and get the capacitors on there and we'll test it. So I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, we're ready to finish the assembly of this. It's going to be pretty straightforward at this point now that we know the switch fits. Get the switch in. I'll go ahead and solder him. So let me go ahead and solder him. I'm going to use the fan, so a little bit of noise, but I'll get him soldered. We'll come back. All right, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Get every contact. Sounds good, feels good. All right. All right. Now, all we got left this, and of course, these will be pieces of coax running to our board. But what we can do is we put a couple of wires on there and hook it with some alligator clip to BNC connectors. We can put it on the Nano VNA and make sure it looks like it's working. But for these, you're going to bend these terminals down like this and put them through the holes. They should hopefully line up. They do. And drop them in. Make sure they're flush. I'm trying to figure out just how far things are going to be. I'm thinking we might be okay spacing. I might find out I'm wrong later, but big thing is make sure this is up flush. So I'm going to go ahead and bend 2 of them and solder 1 of them. We'll get this one soldered in. Make sure he's up flush, and we can do these. Hit the fan. Don't need to be breathing all that. And the same with this one. Okay, I've got it all hooked up. Got it to the Nano VA. Got the recording going on the screen up here. I'm in a constant sweep, and with us in the first position on the inductor, which would be the lowest induction, and the capacitor centered, we're this is what we see. As you can see, we don't. The only thing that's even coming in under 10 SWR under 10 is the very high frequencies, which you kind of expect because we're not really adding any inductance to the antenna. So let's start by going, wow, just the first switch. You can see you start dropping things in at the very higher ends of the 1 through 30 megahertz band scan here. And you can see that each inductance changes as we would expect if it was working correctly. This one, I've got every one of the switch contacts working, so for example, I would expect if I wanted to tune in lower frequencies like 3.9, somewhere around there looks like probably it. Let's change them. There's some capacitive changes. Yeah. Let's change some capacitive here. Yeah, that's moving me around. And that's getting me down on 3.9. Also notice that with the board layout, I don't have that parasitic of getting my hands around it. That's nice. I would say it's working perfectly fine. I mean, it's doing exactly what I would expect to see. So I think we've got a winner. It looks like it took me about half as long to do the inductor, and I think it come out better. It was easier to do, it was better, and it took half the time. And I didn't have the connection issues I had with the last one where I had to go back and mess around getting them to make contact. I didn't get things put in the wrong place and I have to move them afterwards. So while it took me about 1 hour and 20 minutes to do the Torroid last time, it took me to finally get it actually correct and working, moving and fixing all my contacts and stuff. I probably had 1 hour and 50 minutes into getting it right. This one, you know, I had 45 minutes in it maybe, and it was dead on, ready to go first time right out of the board. So I mean, it's easier to do. You don't make as many mistakes. I think it's a better setup. It does take up some extra space, but I think that's worth it. So I think we're probably going to use this little board as part of the Lynx Easy Shortwave Receiver. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was something that you found entertaining and educational. If you did like the video, do me a favor, hit the like button. I would never ask you to hit it if you didn't like it, but if you liked it in any way, do me a favor, hit the button and help me get this spread. But most important, I hope to catch you in the next video.